I want to thank everyone for joining us today. My name is Scott Stone, and I teach high school ag in Centralia, Missouri. I'm currently serving as the ACTE Ag Ed Division Vice President. And when things started getting really exciting in our teaching world and things started changing, we had a discussion that maybe it would be good if we put together a Zoom meeting where we could connect with teachers from across the country. I know that whenever things started to change, I was bombarded with emails, and I kind of felt like I was in the middle of a whirlwind and didn't know where to turn or what to do. So hopefully this conference call today, this meeting, will allow us to kind of share some resources, some ideas. If there's questions or concerns out there that we need to hear, I want to thank everyone who joined. We kind of put this together late last week, and we've got some great people on board with us to share what resources we have. I don't want to waste any more of their time, so we're going to jump right in. We're very fortunate to have Christine White with us. Christine is from the National FFA, and she's got some people with her. She has Ambra Tenery, Blaze Curry, and then Casey Naylor, who is a teacher ambassador, for National FFA teacher ambassador from San Rayburn, Ivanhoe FFA chapter. What we're going to kind of do is we're going to allow the presenters to present. If you have questions or need information, if you could, in the chat box function, just type your question. We'll do our best to get those answered and allow the presenters to share. As I said, we are recording this, so if there's anything we need to go back and look at, we will do. So with that, Christine, if you want to kind of take charge now and lead us through what National FFA has for us and what's available, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Great. Amber and I will be doing a tag team effort, so thanks for allowing us the time to share a little bit of what's happening at National FFA. And before we start that, just want to commend the teachers for being the front line and taking this bull by the horn and trying to figure out what does it mean to still engage students, and knowing that you are doing the lion's share, and we're just hoping to be able to be some support to you as you are working through these processes. And so what we'd like to share is just a little bit of what we're doing with our national officers. And so there's some exciting things that we will be sharing with them over the next few weeks, but we've been working with the national officers on working on creating workshops that we'll be able to offer to chapters as well as to students to engage, another meaningful opportunity to create that peer-to-peer experiences that they may be missing from not having state conventions. So we'll be sharing some information in the coming weeks through social media as well as through emails and Mark's Weekly of how we can engage with those individuals, as well as you've been able to see some uptake from the national officers regarding just reaching out to students and being able to share some light with them. Ambra will be spending most of her time talking about the educator resources that we have available, and then we'll have Casey wrap it up for us. So at that point, I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to Ambra. But again, just thank you for letting us have this opportunity to share our resources and for the opportunity to present.
Good afternoon or morning, depending on where you are in the country. So as Christine said, my name is Ambra Tenery, and get to work together here at National FFA. Also want to give a shout out. So Christine talked about a shout out to our teachers, and I see we see some state staff on here too. So also want to give a shout out to you all, as we know that implementing some of those changes has been a big whirlwind as well. So just shout out to just everyone on this call, because we've definitely taken on a lot as a group in ag education. So really excited to share just an overview of our resources today. And as Christine said, I'll hand it off to Casey here in just a few minutes to talk a little bit more in detail. So for our time today, I just want to give just an overview and show you where you can find the resources that are on FFA.org. And then I'll stay pretty high level. Casey will get into more detail with one of the resources, but then I'll leave it all up to you to be able to go back and be able to peruse a little bit more for yourselves. And so I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. All right. Scott, will you give me a thumbs up if you're seeing the website? Perfect. All right, so when you go to FFA.org and go up here to the Explore tab, just going down to Educator Resources, clicking there, is where all of our resources are going to be found in a one-stop shop location. You'll see that we actually have a call-out box right now for some of our top resources and items to be utilized right now during this time of distance learning. So one of the big things that we have rolled out here in the last couple weeks has been the official student handbook. As most of you know, we've offered that as a print resource in the past, but we are now offering it online in both English and Spanish version for teachers and students to access. And so that is here, and the links to that are here right when you get onto ffa.org. The next thing that you'll see in this call out box is a table of contents document. So basically, this is a great place to go in order to find just an overlook of all of our resources that we have to offer. Not only does it give a title of the resource, it also, you'll be able to really quickly see a picture of the resource for familiarity, a description, and then just recently we've added a column that indicates whether or not the resource needs to be used online through an online platform, or if it can be used offline as well, as we know that there are some programs and schools out there that might not have one-to-one, and they're printing off packets on a weekly basis for their students to pick up. And so we've indicated that here as well with a direct link back to that resource. And so you'll see these are our top resources that, again, you'll find on the Educator Resources tab for ffa.org. So that's that document. So again, all the links are there. And then the next thing that you'll see is Ag Explorer virtual field trips. Casey's going to spend a little bit more time on that here in just a few minutes, but that's also here in the call out box as well. Also, if there are things, or if you're struggling with any of the resources or see any problems with the resources, send an email to our team. We actually check that inbox on a regular basis, and so we want to make sure that we're helping you all out when those needs arise. And then as you go down on the page, in case you've never been on this page before, we have a What's New section here. If you click on this tab, these are some of our top lesson plans just called out. There are more once you click on the More tab, and then some educator guides as well. And so they're all right there, again, under Educator Resources on ffa.org. The last thing that I'm going to show you that's outside of this area before I hand it over is back up on the main tab on Explore FFA. If you go to the FFA Video Center, we've actually gotten a lot of feedback recently from our teachers, especially in the distance learning situation, that they are utilizing our SAE video library resources to send a video link to their students, so students can still stay connected with SAEs, learning more about SAEs. And so within this page, you will find there are about 100, about 50 to 100 videos of SAEs that are featured from across the country with our students, and they're about 2 to 3 minutes long. You'll also find student activity sheets and video sheets that are linked on this site as well, that you can just grab the link and send, especially if you're working in a learning management system situation. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Casey to give you a little bit more detail and to go a layer deeper with one of our resources on Ag Explorer, the virtual field trips.
All right, so hi everybody, I'm Casey Naylor. I teach at Sam Rayburn. I'm going to try to share my screen as well with y'all. So I'm going to show y'all the Ag Explorer and the virtual field trip. I used the virtual field trip last week for one of my assignments, and my kids, I've gotten some good feedback, and I've also used Ag Explorer in the classroom with the Career Finder and had a lot of really good feedback from that. So this is a resource that National FFA and Discovery Education have created together. You can see there's the career focus areas, and basically whenever they go into like the Career Finder, there's 13 questions, 3 from education, 6 from interests and skills, and then 4 from career aspirations. And there's no right or wrong answer for the kids. And then it gives you 4 careers. Well, you can use those careers with the virtual field trip finder if students have something that have a career that goes along with it. I used the Tractor Supply one last week, and my students, I've gotten a lot of really good feedback. One thing that National FFA has done is they've put a direct link, so your students don't have to go to this website necessarily. They can just go straight to the video. One thing that I did is from the student handouts, I created hyperdocs. I can show y'all. I just created hyperdocs that the students on Google Classroom can go in, and they can actually change stuff if they want to. So they can go in and add their input from the video while they're watching it. I think that that's super handy for our kids. But also there's more than those 2 worksheets that I did, and that there's more that they can dive into deeper. There's also other field trips that they can go through, virtual field trips that they can go through. So there's John Deere, Zoetis, Syngenta, Cargill, and Ford. And so they can, whatever your kids' interests are, there's really something for everybody in there. And that is all that I really have.
Those resources that you all just highlighted, none of those are password protected, correct?
No.
That is correct. They are all free, open resources.
Okay, thank you. All right, so thank you very much to National FFA. Next, we're going to go to another great organization and partner within ag education, and that's NAAE. Alyssa Smith, who is the executive director for NAAE, she's going to kind of go over what NAAE has to offer and what resources are out there for us. So Alyssa, if you want to take over.
Thanks, Scott. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You gave me a promotion. I'm actually the associate executive director. I don't want to put Jay out of his job too early. Hey, I would love to have that promotion real quick, just on a Zoom call. But thank you for allowing NAAE to be with you guys today. One of the things we really wanted to focus on is how can we support teachers professionally through professional development during this time. FFA has done a wonderful job creating lots of different resources. We have SAE for All resources. There's lots of different resources out there, but how can we support the ag teacher now that's been sent home to try to learn how to distance teach, and how can we provide some professional development in that way? So I'm going to share my screen. I'm actually going to knock my video off because I am having a little bit of trouble with my internet. As most of you know, rural internet can be rough. All right, so let me share my screen real quick. Oh, one of the things that we knew right away is as state associations were really going to struggle to get their state winners for different state NAAE contests. So it was really important for us to make sure that we extended that time for them so that they can get in their state winning applications on. So from, instead of May 15th, we're going to June 1st. And so that'll give some of the state associations the opportunity to get those applications in, and hopefully if we need to help them as far as making sure that they get the applications judged virtually, we can also help with that. So one of the things we've really threw together real quick is being able to have some online professional development for teachers. And we do have our next online professional development coming tomorrow. Understanding bias is going to be one of those. And these are all free for ag teachers. Next week we have 2 that we even have a teaching ag mechanics as a distance. And the following week we have how we let students drive agri-science inquiry at a distance. So these are really opportunities for teachers to engage. They're free. We're recording those and we're getting those up for teachers. We've had great sessions so far. FFA provided a session last week that was highly attended. We've had an AET session, and we also have plans for further ones. I know Amber is working with some national FFA teacher ambassadors to provide those in the next coming weeks. So if you missed that one, there's some more coming up, as well as another AET. So we're really excited about having this opportunity to offer the online professional development. I know probably about 10 years ago, we were trying to do online professional development and really no one was ready for it now, but it seems like now is the time for us to be able to do this, and we're getting great feedback from that. Another thing we've done, can you see the communities of practice, Scott?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We have just, quickly put together resources. Anytime anyone shares the resources, we have created an online distance learning community in communities of practice. The great thing about it is, once you post those in there, it is searchable. So any person that's looking for an online distance learning resources, they can go to our search tab and just type it in and it should come up. So that's another thing that we have put together for through our communities of practice for teachers. And I know there's lots of different places where this is happening. And so we're just trying to kind of grab some of that stuff. Ag teachers are coming in and sharing their own resources. So that gives us an opportunity to just have a housing area for everything. I know Minnesota's got a great one. I know, AgEdNet is doing all of their free resources. So there's lots of great places. So we're just trying to put in one place. Another thing that, can you see our virtual book club thing there?
Now I can.
Mm-hmm. You can? Okay, great. Sometimes when you change between the two things, it doesn't switch very good. But we normally have a virtual book club during the summer. We have upped that to April 15th, and we're actually going to be reading Marching Off the Map. And it's very timely, I think. It's inspiring students to navigate a brand new world. I think we're all being inspired right now to navigate a new world. So I think there's some things that we can take away as educators of how we can, work through distance learning and the social distancing. We are offering up to 12 hours professional development credit for the NAA Virtual Book Club. And I know that, again, it's one of those things, it's free to register. We'll be encouraging individuals to participate through group chats, Facebook, communities of practice. So we're just moving that up. That's normally something we start in June. We're going to start it in April. And then we're hoping in June we may do some throwbacks to some of the virtual book clubs we've done in the past. I think Teach Like a Pirate was one we did a couple years ago. We may do a throwback to that one and still have one in the summer as well. Let me see what else we got here. I do want to mention also that I'm struggling with my technology today. Sorry about that. We do have a Facebook group or our Facebook where we're doing trying to do a lot of fun things and get teachers engaged socially, because we know a lot of them are on their social media right now. I know a lot of you, I see you in the pictures that I know that you guys are interacting on social media. We're doing some polls, some fun polls. We're doing some shares. But this month we're doing a wellness calendar, and if you're state staff on here, I hope you would encourage your teachers within your state to participate. And if you're a teacher, I think this is just a really important time for us to take a breath and think about what we have been doing and think about if we want to go forth doing the same thing that we have been doing. And this is just a great way, a fun way to interact socially with other ag teachers across the U.S. So we're excited about that. I also do want to mention that another way, unfortunately, because of the COVID-19, we are having to suspend all of the CASE professional development institutes through June 30th. We are working to support teachers in that, to where they can transfer their Case Institute scholarships. They can transfer their Case Institute registrations to existing or other ones that are after June 30th. So it's really important for us to still provide the professional development that we can, but it's also important that we keep our people safe. So at this point right now, and I know Nancy's on the call, I know she's here as an ACT representative, but Nancy, if you have anything else you want to include or tell us about the Case Institutes, I want to open it up for you to kind of speak for a few.
Thanks, Elisa. And you did a great job, and that is hot off the press as of this morning. Hosts were, we met with hosts all the past several days, and then initial email went out to all the hosts and then followed up to the Case family and then out on the listserv. So you may have seen that somewhere before noontime. But to continue with that professional development concept, we are, although we don't have everything in place yet and we don't have dates, we will be offering some of the Ag Business Foundations courses through an online virtual experience, an alternative format, I'll call it, as well as looking into the possibility of that happening with the animal science course as well. So be on the lookout for more of that information as we get that developed. We are in high gear, high speed, trying to provide the information as quickly as we can to everybody. So that's coming shortly, but we needed to get this piece underway. And just to follow up, we will be looking at the July and August dates. Fingers crossed that we can go forward with those, but we don't know what tomorrow is going to look like in this environment that we're in. So we sure can't predict quite that far out, and we will be doing that certainly early in May, so that if in fact there are other cancellations, they can be made in a timely manner to avoid any kind of impact financially for the hosts and or for the registrants. So stay tuned for that. But thanks, Elise, for covering that. And that's where we are. But we're going to use this time to raise the bar.
That's right. I think that everyone should. And I think all of our organizations are taking the time to really think about, what we've been doing, how we can challenge ourselves to do things differently, and to give that opportunity to ag teachers and ag educators out there. I do want to say thank you, Scott, for allowing NAA to participate. I did have a herd of children that came in at the beginning, and so I'm glad I wasn't on the screen, because I was like smashing my hands and throwing myself like, get out of here. But as most of you know, it is a challenge working at home, and also being the new teacher at home too. So I think a lot of people are going to begin to gain back the respect for educators, because now they're the educator or the one making sure that things get done. So we appreciate everything you guys are doing. Thank you, Scott, again for putting this together. I think we've got great attendance, and if we need to do another one of these in the future, please let us know.
All right, thank you very much, Elisa. I know Parker Bain is on. Parker, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but Parker's president of NAA right now. Parker, do you have any comments? I know there's been a lot of questions that you've been trying to answer in the chat box. Do you have any general comments you want to throw in right now in terms of NAA?
Number one, we appreciate all the support, and been very impressed with the work of the staff. So I want to encourage you to take advantage of some of the things that we've talked about. Number one, right now, the only thing that's certain at this point in time is that we're all facing a tremendous amount of uncertainty. So I think that we're taking this, incrementally, and as you monitor steps, probably the thing that we need to know. So one of the things that has come up to me is that so much professional development really hinges upon what the states are allowed to do. And so keep communicating with us, what it is that that you're facing locally. Some schools locally are placing restrictions on different things. And that might be travel restrictions. It might also be budgetary restrictions. And obviously, you can't go if you can't pay. So just keep us abreast of those things, whether you contact me, I put my email in the chat box, or contact your regional vice president or the staff. Just keep us informed, and that will help us make the decisions that are safest and also provide the highest level of service as we look into the summer and beyond.
All right, thank you, Parker. Next, we're going to move on to Nancy Trivett. Nancy is president of ACTE. ACTE is a great organization that's working on behalf of all career and technical education, and we're honored to have Nancy serving as president this year, and she's going to kind of highlight some of the resources that ACTE has put together, and I know she put in the chat box the websites that she's going to be talking about, so please, you can go there and see what she's communicating about. Nancy?
Thank you, Scott. And so let me click here my share screen. It says I cannot share screen while other participant is sharing. So Elise, you might have to jump off there. In the meantime, though, let me say that thank you for the introduction, and certainly am very, very proud to represent all of you in ag education as the ACTE president. I'm also proud to say that ACTE is providing this kind of a webinar today for our division, but all of the divisions in ACTE. Following this one, I think there are several more today, and I think a full day's worth of these types of activities going on tomorrow as well, and maybe beyond. I also must say, my hat is off. Kudos to Scott Stone. He is representing you extremely well on the ACTE board. Just like the leadership you're seeing here today, he provides that throughout all of our board meetings in many ways and shapes and forms. So you are well represented on that board. It's always kind of neat when there are at least 2 ag educators on that board. So not that Scott and I team up or anything, but hey, it's just obvious that we as ag educators often think alike. Imagine that. So whether they know we're an ag ed person or not, they usually detect it after a few moments with us at a board meeting. Also wanted to thank all of the ACTE staff for, I mean, everybody is just working at quantum speed right now. It's hard to imagine that all that we were doing just a month ago, we're probably all at a breakneck pace right now because we just need to keep things rolling, keep things moving, and there's really a whole lot more on our plate than there was just a month ago. So I certainly kudos to the ACTE staff for all that they're doing and working from home and trying to make it all happen, the NAAE staff, and certainly the CASE staff as well. And as you know, I work with the CASE staff very directly, as you heard earlier. You know, just, well, about 20 years ago, some of you have been around long enough, like myself, to know that about 20 years ago, we were reinventing agricultural education for the year 2020. So, you know, the years went by and we all participated and or took advantage and or built a great program as a result of that nationwide effort back in the 90s. And things were moving along pretty steadily. Yeah, we changed up, you know, we went into social media and we provided things through technology. But all of a sudden, a month ago, not only was ag education reinvented, but all of our lives have been reinvented, and we're just living in a very, very different world. So as I, let me get onto the sharing my screen here and see if I can't get this on the right desktop. That's what happens when you have 2 screens. It complicates things. Let's see if that works. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, so if you were on the ACTE website, the neat thing about the Ag Ed division, what you heard today is you've heard a lot of great material regarding, actually, Scott, that's not what's on my screen. So that's my email. Let's get rid of that.
We're seeing the ACT's response to coronavirus.
Okay, good, good. So if you were on the main ACTE page at the very, I'm going to try to back up there and see if I can't show you that. Okay, great. So this is the home page of ACTE. And as soon as you log in, and by the way, this is available for ACTE members, of which I sure hope all of you are members, but if not, you still have the same access. You can log onto that page, click on the latest information about COVID-19, and that takes you to this page. And just like you've heard this morning, there's just a plethora of information that ACTE provides through our partners and through lots of the resources that we already had ongoing with ACTE. But in any case, if you were to scroll down on that page towards the bottom where it says online learning tools, that's really where I want to talk and concentrate on today. Because if you were to click on the click here in that section, you come to a page that really talks about how to access and utilize what is available free to teachers through May 1 through the CTE Learn Network. And I realize, I'll put that particular link as well in the chat box, but this is an online teaching tool to help you gear up your skills to become a better online deliverer of education and information to your students. And these courses are all free to you through May 1st. There's access on that document as to how to log in with that free code, and material are on online teaching techniques, teaching online, student-centered approach, teaching and organizing a virtual learning environment, online language, communicating with students, preparing students to become good online learners, workbook management strategies for teaching online, etc. So that material, as I said, is available to you now and to anyone that you would share it with. And if in fact, again, those who are ACT members would have access to that ongoing, but this at this time is free for everyone. The other key thing though is there's so much free material through the ACTE website resources that you could utilize in your careers, in your classrooms. There are webinars and online resources on a multitude of topics. Through the CTE Learn site, there's also some credited courses if you were to log on. Those courses for credits do cost, do have a registration fee, but those are available certainly to you as well to gain college credits and or to prepare for potential other aspects of your career, whether you're moving into an administrative role or whether you're working in a new realm of CTE that maybe you're not as familiar with. So I will stop there. Well, let me just click one more time if I could go so you can see those other resources on CTE Learn. And again, there's just many, the courses, yeah, one click always leads to another. But there are plenty of courses that are accessible through that CTE Learn and for you to access. So Scott, I will stop there. Certainly anybody can jump onto that and see that as well as I can talk about it. So I will stop and I'll try to get that link back into the chat box on that third page.
All right, thank you. Miss Nancy, and I also know Steve DeWitt is on here. Steve is with ACTE. There's been a question in the chat box asking if ACT Vision Conference registration is going to be pushed back. I don't know that I have seen anything to that effect. Have you guys seen anything or heard anything on that?
Yeah, so we are not pushing back at this point. As people know, our conference is in November, December. It'll be December this year. We're definitely monitoring, though. I know what seems appropriate today may change in a week or two, but so far we're pursuing and moving forward. We have, however, changed a number of our conferences in April and May that will be online. One of those is the Work-Based Learning Conference that you see advertised on our acteonline.org, and that will be all online now as of about a week ago, and will be all online next week. Thanks, Scott.
All right, thank you, Steve. Next, we have Dr. Park. Dr. Park is a professor at North Carolina State University, and he is currently the chair of the National Council for Agriculture Education. So Dr. Park, thank you for your leadership on behalf of the council, and if you want to share some of the things that the council has available, we would greatly appreciate that.
Thank you, Scott. And I'll just start by echoing my appreciation for all of our teachers and state staff and other partners in ag education for doing what you can to remain calm and help our students navigate what has become a really interesting world and continue to learn about agriculture. What gets me through many days, it seems like, is a hope that after this mess is sorted out a bit, we come out of this as a stronger people and a stronger nation, and we think about human health and food differently than what we did before. And I know as I read the news, it seems like people in our neck of the woods are certainly coming to appreciate more healthcare providers and those who provide our food. And as agriculture educators, we're part of that system. And so hopefully we can continue to be an integral part of that. So the council is a think tank for the most part, identifying opportunities and challenges for the whole ag ed system, and then working with partners like National FFA, NAAE, the AAAE, the state directors, NASAE, and others to find solutions for some of those challenges. So the resources that we have available, I mean, so some of our challenges will continue, and so continuing to bolster SAEs through the SAE for All materials that are linked at the council's website continue to be important. Working to recruit future agriculture teachers will also continue to be important, and NAAE has a lot of resources available there as we think about assignments and things that we could give students. Perhaps career exploration through SAE or Teach Ag might be some good ideas. Beyond that, we were intent to next week have our April National Council meeting, and after a couple of years of kind of reorganizing and thinking about the organization of the council, we were set to do a little bit of visioning. We're certainly not going to meet in person, but we'll be conducting a Zoom meeting and thinking about some of the challenges facing agricultural education. The world shift has changed some of that, but nonetheless, two priorities that we were going to think about and consider were alternative deliveries of ag ed curriculum, which is certainly pertinent today, and then continuing to serve our teachers as the frontline providers of ag education. I think everyone is on the council works to work for the teachers and students of ag education to see how we can best provide for them. So as you have ideas of needs and concerns, feel free to get those to myself. I'll put my email there, but we'll do our best to address those from kind of a 30,000-foot view with the council. So thank you, Scott, for your leadership on putting this meeting together. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Park. Now I've got a couple great teachers that are across the country that are going to share with you kind of where they're at and what they're doing and how they're handling this. So we're going to move kind of the east side of the country with Krista Pontius. Krista teaches in Pennsylvania. She's a National Agri-Science Ambassador and does a lot of workshops at the NAA Vision Conference. So she's one of the best. So Krista, if you want to take over now.
All right, can you hear me, Scott?
Yes, ma'am. Okay,
great. All right, thank you so much. First, I want to give a little shout out to my Atlanta Braves friend. I saw Doug's shirt. Nice job, bud. As we are dealing with this unique situation, I think we do need to remember a few things. First, we are professionals. Now, granted, we are professionals who weren't necessarily trained to do what we are all doing all of a sudden, but as ag teachers, we have always been flexible and always been willing to try new things. So why not? We also need to remember, and what I think is the most important thing that we need to remember as we move forward, is that this time is about our relationships. I realize that at this time of year, we're accustomed to delivering awesome curriculum to our students and all these great, cool projects with their culminating activities. But during these times of uncertainty, I think we need to focus less on the curriculum and more on our students. Now, of course, we always put our students at the forefront of everything that we do. However, we all know when they're there in front of us, it's easy to have a little conversation about their game the night before or whatever happened to them. And now that's not so easy to do. And we all know a very harsh reality that it's sad to say, but for so many of our students, being at school is the best part of their day. Whether they're going to admit it or not, that's where they have food security. That's where they have trusted adults who care about them. That's their safe place. So my first thought is that moving forward, we all need to make sure that we are very intentional about checking in with our kiddos. Last week, I sent each of them a personal message on Schoology, which was our learning management platform. And it surprised me that the response I was given, especially from the kids that you wouldn't classify as your best students, every one of them reached right back out, and they were so excited to hear that I wasn't talking to them about school. I was just asking them about their coronation. Anyway, although Schoology messaging was effective for me last week, this week I'm going to try very hard. I'm working through it to call each of them because I think that they need to hear my voice. And honestly, I need to hear their voices too. They give me a pretty good reason to wake up in the morning, and I'm feeling out of sorts with them, and I miss their smiling faces. So I'm working through my list to call them. Of course, it takes a while to get through all those kiddos, but it's worth it in the end. But we also need to not worry just about our students. Let's think about all of our faculty buddies. These are the people that are our team members, that they're our work family, and we need to communicate and collaborate with them on a regular basis. While in school, think about the conversations that we have. And those conversations that we have make our students better, and they make our school better. And we need to keep having those conversations and worrying about our students just like we would if we were all under the same roof. My next piece of advice is that we can't expect the volume of output necessarily that we would receive when our students are sitting in front of us. Just think of, be mindful of the parents. Think of what Elisa just said. We now have parents sitting at home trying to do their work while they're answering all the questions that we actually enjoy answering. That's kind of what we do, is answering questions, but their parents probably aren't thinking it's as fun as we do. Every school is different, and I realize that, but this fourth marking period, or however your school works, is not going to be normal in any way. I really think that we need to be lenient and understanding of so many situations that we can't even begin to understand. There are so many kids without internet or technology, and even if they do have internet and technology, they might not know how to use them. I know I dropped some food off to my neighbors, and I felt kind of ashamed of myself because I'd never realized that my neighbors were quite as poor as they are, honestly. And their grandma just said, I don't know how we're going to do this. And we just have to be mindful of those things and think of our kids first and our relationships first. I do think, and this was kind of mentioned already, that there is a silver lining in all this mess. And I think every day since this has started, at least I know I have been reminded that what I do every day and what each and every one of you do every day is so important. Teaching isn't about the building or great facilities that we have. I know I used to always moan a little bit, and I probably will again, that we don't have nice facilities. I just have a classroom, and I go to other schools, but guess what? That's not what it's about. Teaching is about our connections with our students, our parents, colleagues, and the community. These connections are what make learning great. I know right now that every one of our kids are looking to us to see how we respond, and it isn't easy. We need to take one day at a time, but I really do think that we're going to get through this together. Thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you, Krista. Now we're going to go kind of the West Coast. We've got Wes Crawford. Wes teaches in Oregon. Many of you have probably seen Wes present, and I believe he's going to be the presenter for several of our NAE conferences next week. So Wes, we look to you all the time for leadership and guidance in the education field, and that's why I contacted you. So can you share kind of where you're at and what you're doing, and any words of wisdom for us, please?
You bet, and thanks very much, Scott, for the invitation. Hello, those are waving. And a lot of what Krista said was excellent. I think for, Scott and Krista and I were trading emails last week. Our state ag teachers leadership, we kind of had a little vent session via email last week, and we're just big shift here. And even though I'd say I'm a technology capable teacher, I'm a creative teacher, it's been a challenge for sure. And I think a lot of it comes to our own expectations we put on ourselves. One, we got this fire hose of information and resources to go through, and the resources shared today were very pointed and specific, which is excellent. But I don't know about you, but my email was inundated for about 2 weeks with every vendor ever, apparently, that sells online stuff. I had no idea. And then also like, hey, we've got this put together and this put together. And it becomes almost overwhelming. And I actually think content's not our problem right now. It's our approach. How do we do this? How do we manage this for ourselves? And we need to get past this idea of we got to find the best thing out there, and we just need to figure out what we need to do for our kids, and then we're going to go figure out how to do that. And that's really needs to look the other way. Stop trying to go through every resource that's coming your way and see what you can use. Figure out what you're going to do, and then go do it. And then it's a matter of where are the resources to do this at. And we need to narrow this down quite a bit, I think, because further in the other conversation, this is definitely true for me. You know, your kids come to your class, we're electives, and they want to be there and they want to do that. And I think a lot of us have this fear that they're going to get to our online class and they're going to be disappointed because we're not going to be able to do, how are we going to do for them what we normally do on an everyday? And we put this heightened expectation on ourselves that quite frankly isn't fair. And just to reiterate what Krista said too, there's three things that kids need from us. They need relationships, absolutely, and that continuing that. They need flexibility from us and grace, and they need purpose also, I would say. And we can do all of those three things because we're used to doing that with our kids. I'd also say we're not teaching online classes. We are just going to teach at a distance. And for the vast majority of us, we know these kids. We've known these kids maybe for years, or at least this year. Maybe you have some kids that just joined with you in a semester or trimester. But for the vast majority of us, we have relationships with these kids. We're just going to continue that. And it's not like it's a faceless name on the other side of an internet connection. But we do have the technology to maintain that. And I would have that mentality about this, is that you're continuing a relationship that already existed through a lot of rapport and context to now. And that's how we should guide ourselves as we go forward here. And so with those things, things like flexibility and all that, are you keeping in mind those kids that have 3 different kids in the family that have one device and they're sharing? So this whole, like, we're going to have all our kids meet at 10 o'clock and do a live lesson and that's it, I think is a terrible approach personally. I know some of your schools, I know every school is being told to do it different. I totally get it. So I'm not going to tell you too much like, here's how you should do it, because your admin are telling you a different thing, your state's telling you a different thing, and tomorrow they will probably tell you a new thing. Okay, yep, moving on. But there are things that we can do. And if you're going to do that live lesson, record it and put it out there for those kids that can't see it at that time and go catch it later. And then just do that follow-up. Say, hey, were you able to catch that? It's there. It's available. You should do that. Just make it so that those kids can engage in that way and have that flexibility and grace about those things. And are they touching base, and it's much more important than if they're turning every single assignment in that you're putting out there. I do think the purpose is important, though. I think that we can provide that. There's so much uncertainty right now in structure they've lost. We can give them some. And for FFA and Ag Education has been doing that for a lot of kids anyway. And for a lot of years, we just did it through our classrooms. Well, let's keep doing it. And we can do that by finding ways to engage those kids. You've got a great opportunity to encourage that SAE development and involvement now. They've got lots of time. So maybe they can find those ways to get creative and add to their SAE, and maybe set that goal. Hey, you know, you were worried about making your state degree in the next couple of years. Is this an opportunity to develop your SAE further so that you can have those requirements met? In Oregon, we'll talk a little bit about what we've done there. We're creating virtual CDEs. A lot of people are, of course. We just have to go this route. But instead of just canceling them all and saying, hey, see you next year, we've got about 40 teachers working across the state, collaborating, and we're doing about a dozen or 15 virtual district level CDEs. We're in districts and in the state level. And our ag teachers are developing those. The state's going to develop our state CDEs for later. But it's just to give an endpoint for those kids, and a lot of our kids engage in CDEs and have that. And so, hey, you know, it's not going to be as good as we normally would, but we're going to do this anyway, and we're going to get engaged. And for our younger kids, it's that motivation next year will be even better set up to try this out. Or you can try this for the first time this year. It's really easy to access it virtually, get just a little bit idea of what we do, and just think about what next year is going to be when we get to do all the hands-on components. Yeah, it's not the same. It's not going to be as good, but it's a lot better than nothing. And so we've been working hard to try to work with that to make that happen, and we're going to do those things. And that goes back to, I think, when you're talking about what you're doing with your kids in the class, just go back to what you normally would do. What do you want to achieve? What do you want them to get out of this time period? And then figure out how you're going to do it, and go find the resources that go with it. My intro to ag kids, we should be doing plant science stuff right now and doing stuff in the greenhouse. Well, obviously we're not getting in the greenhouse, but we normally do floral design stuff and things like that. So they're making floral arrangements out of carburetor parts. I've seen pictures of spoons and ladles. I've seen parts of ripped off trees in their yard. I assume it's their yard and not their neighbor's yard. I told them not to be specific, but I was intentional there. But it is great stuff. And the other thing is, I'm getting those responses back in like 2 hours. I put this out, say, hey, in the next week, make this happen. 2 hours later, I'm seeing pictures, because they need purpose. They need something to do. And so in some classes are easier than others, and I get it. My welding class, I've got choice boards, and that's why they choose from. but I make it things that are relevant, not just, hey, write a paper or, hey, do this. But I surveyed the kids in the beginning. What do you want to get out of this? Do you want to learn more about CNC? Do you want to learn more about this? And then I've got 5 options right now. It's not a big choice board. I'll make it bigger later. I don't have time to make a 10 option choice board right now. I'll build it as we fly this plane, and it'll be okay. I just got them going right now, and then we'll follow up to make sure everybody's going okay, and we'll just build it from there as we do that. I mentioned the virtual CDs on the ag teacher side. So I talked about classroom a little bit. The ag teacher side, we're uniquely prepared and organized to help each other out. So tonight, like at 5 o'clock our time, it'll be our 3rd week of doing a statewide virtual hangout, we've been calling it, and organized by the Ag Teachers Association. And it's just a chance for people to check in. The first one was we just had a couple updates and mainly just broke them up into small groups, because you can do that in Zoom and let people talk and share and swap ideas. We've got about 140 ag teachers in our state. Last week we did one at 5 o'clock. We had 91 check in that night on that Zoom call. And that's really good. They're all willing to check in. We had breakouts based on different curriculum areas. So if you wanted to talk about animal science, we put you in a room, talk about animal science and how you're doing animal science at a distance, and getting ideas and swapping that. We're doing another one tonight on some different topics. I think that's really good. I mean, people thought that was a great place to come. I thought it was really bad that many people felt that desperate that 91 people showed up at 5 o'clock on a Wednesday night, like knowing, hey, I need help with this. So it's an acknowledgement of the fact that this is not easy for anybody, and that we need to just move forward. And we're not going to do it perfect the first time or the second time, and it might never get perfect. That's fine. The fact that we're doing these things, that we're showing our kids and developing that relationship still, that we're being flexible and we're giving them purpose, and we're helping each other in achieving that, is really where we need to be right now. There was a question there about showing that choice board. Absolutely will. Like I said, it's nothing fancy right now. I'm going to add to it. I already got some ideas actually from earlier. So in here, that people have posted. So I will share that, and I'll put that on Communities of Practice. And I'd say too, resource-wise, Communities of Practice is great. The Facebook, the Ag Ed Discussion Lab is great. We have an Oregon-centric one too. I know many states do. Those are great places for teachers to go to check out stuff, but use that search feature. Don't read it like a book. Look up the things that you need. If I'm teaching plant science, search plant science and see what pops up. Don't just read through everything and say, hey, where can I shoehorn this in? Start with what you want your kids to do, and then figure out how you're going to have them do it. Scott, that's all I got.
All right. Thank you, Wes. That was fantastic. We appreciate it. We're to the point in our agenda where if anybody has any questions that they want to ask any of our presenters, if you want to just go ahead and type that in the chat box, and then I'll try to direct it so we don't try to have, everyone trying to speak at once. So if you just want to type that in there, and then I'll kind of funnel it where we need it to go. So I'll wait a second or two and see if anything pops up there. All right, I haven't seen anything just quite yet, but I just want to say thank you very, very, very much for joining us today. If you have questions, please reach out to our fantastic presenters. I want to thank everybody who's on. Someone asked, is there any way to share the resource link shared here on a doc for future use? I'm not the greatest with technology, but I will try to figure that out. And Mr. DeWitt from ACT said that ACT is planning on doing that. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. And once I figure out where that's at and Steve gets that, I'll get that shared with everything. Again, thank you very, very much. And we'll try to get the recording of this shared out as well. Someone asked if we can share that out. And I'm not sure about if we can save the chat and publish it, but I will do my best to work with Steve and see if we can make that happen, and Brandy at ACT to make that happen. I will tell you, whenever this all broke at our school a couple weeks ago, I've been teaching 23 years, and I was like, oh my word, what am I going to do and how am I going to make this happen? And it's been an incredible learning experience for me. It's been an incredible learning. I've got a son who's a senior. He's about to graduate or not graduate. We're not sure yet how that's all going to look. We don't know. So from a parent perspective, there's a lot of uncertainty. From a teacher perspective, there's uncertainty. I just want to thank you guys for everything that you are doing on behalf of every student that's in our classroom. My kids get excited when they get assignments from their teachers and they talk about them and the things that they can do. The impact that you're making is huge. As Wes said, I felt inundated with information when this all started to happen and I wasn't sure where to turn or what to do. We appreciate all the support that everyone has given us, but just try to keep it simple and try to keep our kids engaged because that's what they really need. Thank you to all of our presenters. And I was on a phone call this morning with a state staff member, and he's a great friend. And he said, you know, sometimes we worry about whether people are going to be happy with the decisions we're making. But ultimately, we have to remember they probably half of them weren't happy with the decisions we were making before it all started. So just go ahead and do something. Inaction is going to lead to parents and students questioning our abilities. And I know that you guys have those abilities. So go ahead and do it. Might not be perfect, as Wes said, but it's going to happen and we're going to do the best thing for our students. I know each and every one of you will. I put my email address in the chat box. If you need anything from me, please shoot me an email. A lot of you have my cell phone number. That's fine as well to text me. Please keep our partners in this involved, ACTE, National FFA, NAAE, the National Council, and everyone else. Thank you very much. So with that, I don't have anything else unless you have something you want to put in the chat box. I hope all of you stay healthy and safe. And if we can do anything to help you, please let us know. Thank you.